Okay, so here we are, video 5 of this 6-part mini-series. If you haven't watched 1 to 4, we talk about the broken model, how to attract your dream clients, we talk about the content trifecta, and you want to go through all of those before this one, because this is where we talk about effortless landing and how we use this in order to remove the need for sales calls in our business. Now, I have a confession. If this is the first time we're experiencing any time together, you may or may not be aware that prior to the business that I'm currently running now with Orbit 100, I have spent basically 20 years, not just in sales, doing sales, building sales. It has been part of my DNA since I got my first job outside of professional sport. So rewind the clock back ever so slightly. And once upon a time, I was a professional football player. That was my old life. I made it onto FIFA, which is probably the pinnacle of my life as a massive football enthusiast. But anyway, and after playing soccer in the US and doing a scholarship there and not quite making it in the big leagues, I decided that I would go and get a job. And like many people do when they go out into the world to try and get a job, I fell into sales and I started off selling vegan, vegetarian, and halal confectionery, or as they called it back then, this is 20 years ago, in the supermarkets, they would call it the dusty aisle, where nobody ever went, and they were the sweets that I was selling. So I was going door to door with cash and carries and news agents and so on and so forth, and then supermarkets. And I did that, and then I went on and moved on to Just Eat, which if you're not from the UK and from around the world, it's kind of like Uber Eats, but the European version, and it's a lot bigger than Uber Eats now. I was lucky enough to be a door-knocking sales rep, then a sales manager, then a sales director, then an international sales director, all within the space of 3 or 4 years. And the company, we actually took it to exit on an IPO on the London Stock Exchange, which was a massive highlight of my career. I then went on to a tiny little startup that worked in the elderly care space, again, building out sales teams, and did that for 5 years, scaled it from a team of 2 to a team of 100. We raised a bunch of funding. Then I started my own tech business, of which I sold to investors and I sold to team members and I sold the vision and. Anyway, that is a long-winded, it's like my CV has just been littered with sales. So when I tell you that I'm removing the entire sales process and that's what it takes to run the type of business that I would love to run, and when we teach our clients, they love running, because the sales model in the online business space just breaks. And we've talked about this in previous videos. And in order to remove that, what we need to do, because we can't not sell. So here's the thing, people need to be sold to. They need to be convinced that you're the right person for them, and now's the right time, the price point's right, and they're going to be able to get great results. Now, if we remove the sales call, we remove the DMs, remove the qualifying, remove all of those things, then we need to be able to do all of those things for people to say yes. And we do a lot of the heavy lifting with our content. So in the last video, I talked about the content trifecta. Long form is an amazing addition because we can get so much more done. We can get so much more bandwidth in terms of what it is that we're all about and how we're going to help people. And short form, long form email, we get that 7 hours of attention. We can probably do 80% of the heavy lifting with our content. We will still get people knocking on our door saying, I want to sign up, which is amazing, but we need to factor in the rest of the people who still need to be nudged across the line. And what I want to just quickly talk about now is what happens on a sales call. As most of you will know, we want to understand their situation. We want to qualify them. We want to effectively talk them through the process and how it's going to work for them. And then we want to talk about next steps. And what does the client want to know? They want to know, will this work for me? Of all of the things that we're going to help them with, that's the one thing they really want to know. Is this going to work for me? And like I said, our content is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. It's going to get them to a point where they feel like it might be the right fit. But then what we need to do is we need to do 2 more things. The first thing we need to do is we need to create a shit hot offer doc that basically helps people understand, is this the right solution for me? What am I going to get? What does the process look like? And am I going to get great results for this? And inside that offer document, we want to structure it in a way that helps people understand exactly what they're going to get and the results they're going to get and the process. But also, we need to understand that people learn in different ways. If we just have a heavy text document and that's it, we miss the people who are visual learners. So my strong recommendation is that we merge an offer doc with a video sales letter. So we effectively had a video that talks about exactly what the program or product or service is, how it works, how it's going to help people. We put in case studies in there, we put in testimonials in there. So we need to create a really, really good offer document that people can read, review, and watch the embedded video. So that's the first thing. When we work with clients, we structure this offer document different. It's not a one size fits all. That's the mistake a lot of people make. They look at some guru online and they're like, this is the offer doc. It may well be for them, but it might not be for your business and it might not be for somebody else's business. And if you work with other business owners, it might not be for their businesses because every buyer is different. Human psychology is different. Your business is different. We need to lay it out in a way that fits your ideal client and how they make a purchasing decision. So that's really important. And like I said, the clients that we work with, we put this together. If we're not working together and you want to do this, it's definitely a prompt that you can use with Claude or ChatGPT. But effectively what we want to say is knowing my ideal client and knowing the objections they have, the problems they have, the challenges they have, the goals they have, the excitement they have, all of those things. What is the best way to structure a document that gets them to nod along, see themselves in it, and be able to make a decision? And you'll get a pretty good first draft. So that's the document side of things. But that's not all, because we need more. And we don't want people on the fence. We don't want people sat around thinking, oh, maybe, maybe not. So the next thing is that we need to open the kimono. Now, not in a literal sense, of course, but we need to show people what it's like working with us. And there's different ways that we can do this. And like I always say, every business is different and everybody's unique. So I'm going to give you a bunch of different ways that you can do this. You need to find the one that fits for you, fits for your business. And if a few sound like they might work, then you can try a few out. If you deliver workshops, webinars, masterclasses to your community, to your existing clients, you can simply operate a behind the scenes and invite people into those workshops. Now you can either do it for free or you can ask leads to pay to be there. But either way, you basically show what it's like working with your clients behind the scenes. The other thing that you can do is you could give people a free trial, depending on what your service is. Maybe they get 7 days of working with you in a limited way to really understand what it's like before making a decision. Maybe you have a low ticket offer and you ascend them into your more premium offer. The other thing is case studies and testimonials are absolutely banging when it comes to this. So this isn't just text on screen in quotation marks. This is a video interview that you have with one of your clients where they can talk about their experience working with you, what it was like, what a typical day, a typical week, a typical month looked like, and the results that they got and the problems that you helped them overcome and all of those things. 4, 5, 6 videos like that show exactly what it's like working with you. People can see themselves in your client as they give the feedback. So those are the 2 things we're going to do. Offer document with an embedded video and also an opportunity for them to see behind the scenes of what it's like working with you. And if we do those 2 things together and we do the content trifecta, which I explained in the last video, I promise you will be able to get rid of sales calls from your acquisition funnel. Which tees me up nicely for the final video, video 6, the next one. We're going to wrap everything together. We're going to talk about all the different things and how they all weave together and what a typical day, a typical week, and a typical month can look like in your business operating this new business model. And I'm really excited to share that with you. So join me in video 6. I'll see you there.